Henry Winkler, born October 30th, 1945 in Manhattan, New York, is one of America's cultural icons, best known for his role as Arthur Fonzie Fonzarelli on Happy Days, a role that defined the 1970s and made him a symbol of cool. The son of German-Jewish immigrants, he grew up in a middle-class family with high academic expectations, but struggled with dyslexia that was not diagnosed until adulthood. At 79, Winkler is not only an actor, but also a producer, director, children's book author, and devoted father and grandfather. His life has been an inspiring journey, punctuated by brilliant joys and profound sorrows, from childhood hardships to professional and personal challenges. Perhaps the greatest sadness in Henry Winkler's life was his childhood years of being misunderstood and scolded for his undiagnosed dyslexia. Born into a German-Jewish family, his parents, Harry and Ilse Winkler, were Holocaust survivors who left Berlin in 1939 for the United States. They brought with them strict values about education and high expectations that their son would become a successful member of the family's lumber business. However, Winkler struggled in school, unable to read fluently or complete his schoolwork on time. His parents often called him dummer Hund, stupid dog, and scolded him for being lazy and not reaching his potential. These criticisms left him feeling ashamed and self-conscious, as if he were never good enough. He once said that there were nights when he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling and wondering why he couldn't please his parents, no matter how hard he tried. The pain came not only from academic failure, but also from feeling isolated and unappreciated by those closest to him. Winkler's dyslexia was not discovered until he was 31, when his stepson, Jed Weitzman, was diagnosed. That moment was a huge shock for him. He realized that the years of being yelled at, punished, and locked in his room were not because he was lazy, but because his brain worked differently. This realization brought a sense of relief, but also a deep sadness. He felt angry for the years of being misunderstood, and heartbroken to think that his parents, who had gone through so much pain in their lives, had unintentionally caused him emotional scars. He once shared in an interview that there were times when he would sit alone, holding a book he couldn't read fluently, and cry because he felt helpless. This sadness never completely went away, but became a part of who he was, driving him to become a strong advocate for children with dyslexia. In addition, Winkler also carried other sorrows from the pressures of his career and personal life. The role of Fonzie brought him to the pinnacle of fame, but also made him feel boxed in, unable to escape the shadow of this character. He once felt trapped, as if the whole world only saw him as Fonzie, not as a versatile actor. In his personal life, he also experienced heartbreaking moments, such as when his wife, Stacy Weitzman, was diagnosed with breast cancer in the early 2000s. He wrote in his memoir that he felt scared and helpless in the face of his wife's illness, worried that he might lose his partner. These sorrows, although different in nature, shaped Winkler, making him a sensitive, empathetic person who always finds ways to turn difficulties into motivation to move forward. Henry Winkler's career spanned nearly 6 decades with highs and lows. He began acting as a young man, appearing in more than 30 television commercials before landing a small role on The Mary Tyler Moore Show in 1973. Just 2 weeks after moving to Los Angeles, he was cast as Arthur Fonzie Fonzarelli on Happy Days, a role that would change his life. From 1974 to 1984, Happy Days became one of America's most popular television shows, and Fonzie, with his leather jackets, slicked-back hair, and cool style, became a cultural icon. The role earned Winkler 2 Golden Globes in 1977 and 1978, and 3 Primetime Emmy nominations. He became an idol to millions of viewers, with Fonzie fever spreading across the United States, to the point that ABC considered changing the name of the show to Fonzie's Happy Days. However, the success of Happy Days was a double-edged sword. Winkler was stereotyped as Fonzie, making it difficult for him to find more diverse roles. In the years after Happy Days, he struggled to escape the shadow of the character. He once shared that there were days when he felt trapped, when directors only wanted him to repeat the Fonzie image in new projects. One memorable failure was when he turned down the role of Danny Zuko in Grease, a decision he later called stupid. He feared that the role would further cement the Fonzie image, but the decision cost him a great opportunity to establish himself in cinema. Another flop was his 1993 film Cop and a Half, which was panned by critics and failed to do well at the box office. He once said that after the premiere, he sat in a dark room wondering if he should continue directing. Despite this, Winkler continued to establish himself as a versatile actor. He moved into producing and directing, with projects like MacGyver and Memories of Me. He also had comedic roles in The Waterboy in 1998, Scream in 1996, and Arrested Development from 2003 to 2019, where he played lawyer Barry Zuckerkorn. His career was revived with his role as Gene Cousineau on Barry from 2018 to 2023, which earned him his first Primetime Emmy in 2018, as well as 2 Critics' Choice Television Awards. He once shared that the moment he received the Emmy, he ran onto the stage, felt like my butt was off the chair, and cried with emotion at being recognized after years of hard work. Winkler's crying moments often stem from work pressures and personal challenges. In the early days of Happy Days, he often felt nervous reading scripts at the boardroom table because his dyslexia made it difficult for him to read fluently. He covered his embarrassment with jokes, but there were nights when he would go home and cry because he felt he wasn't good enough. Another time, when he was asked to act in Neil Simon's 1999 play The Dinner Party, he almost turned it down because he was afraid he wouldn't be able to read the script cold. He spent weeks memorizing the script, and when he was cast, he cried with pride. Another moment was when he was with his wife during her cancer treatment. He once said that one time, while sitting in a hospital waiting room, he cried because he was afraid of losing his partner. His relentless efforts to overcome dyslexia, escape Fonzie's shadow, and balance his career and family have shaped his career, making him a resilient and inspiring artist. Henry Winkler's achievements are not only in the field of acting, but also in living a meaningful life and creating a positive impact. One of his biggest goals is to become a respected actor, not only for his role as Fonzie, but for his versatility and sincerity. He always wants his roles to bring joy and inspiration, like how Gene Cousineau touched the hearts of audiences in Barry. He once said that every time he steps on stage or in front of the camera, he feels like he is living his passion since he was a child, and that is the motivation for him to constantly improve. Winkler also aims to become an inspirational author for children, especially those with dyslexia. With Lynn Oliver, he wrote 17 books in the Hank Zipser, the world's greatest underachiever series from 2003 to 2010, based on his own experiences. The books, which were later adapted into a British television series, have helped millions of children feel understood. Winkler once received a letter from a boy who said Hank Zipser had helped him gain confidence, and he cried when he read the letter. He also wrote a new series, Here's Hank, which uses a dyslexic font, marking the first time a dyslexic font has been used in a book in the United States. He dreams of one day having his books in every school library, helping children understand that dyslexia is not a barrier to success. In addition, Winkler strives to be a role model father and grandfather. He wants his children, Zoe, Max, and his stepson, Jed, to grow up with love and confidence. He often shares the joy of spending time with his 6 grandchildren, from telling them stories to taking them fishing. He also wants to be a strong advocate for children and education, through organizations such as the Children's Action Network, which he and his wife co-founded in 1990, providing free immunizations to more than 200,000 children. He is also involved in charities such as the Special Olympics, the Epilepsy Foundation, and Toys for Tots. His 2011 award of an Honorary Order of the British Empire for his work with dyslexic children is one of the milestones he cherishes. Ultimately, Winkler has always tried to be true to himself. He believes that happiness comes from accepting himself, both his strengths and his weaknesses. At 79, he is still learning to let go of his childhood insecurities. Thanks to therapy he began 7 years ago. He wants to leave a legacy that is not just Fonzie, but a man who overcame adversity to live a meaningful life, bringing joy and hope to others. His greatest achievement, perhaps, is his ability to turn challenges into opportunities, from dyslexia to Fonzie's shadow, to become a beloved artist and person. Henry Winkler's love and marriage have been an emotional chapter, filled with great joys and no small amount of challenges. He met Stacy Weitzman, a public relations professional, in 1976 at a Los Angeles clothing store. At the time, Stacy had a 4-year-old son, Jed, from her previous marriage to Howard Weitzman. Winkler had thought he would not want to marry a woman with children, but when he met Stacy, he quickly changed his mind. He was drawn to her beauty, intelligence, and kindness. They married on May 5, 1978, at a New York synagogue,